How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at this comic that's a tie-in to the Conjuring movies, the Conjuring the Lover. Now, this is the first one, just came out this week, and came out around the same time as the Conjuring movie is released. This was Wednesday, and then, the coming Friday is when the actual movie comes out, so kind of putting them out back to back there. Taking a closer look at the cover, you see the Warren's artifact room, and this person who I'm presuming is going to be the main ghost of the series, although we never get that clear a look at her in the actual comic yet, so have to just assume that. And the nice other objects there behind her. We also see DC 1 of 5. So this is going to be 5 parts, and the story will continue between each one. But up here at the top, this is really interesting. DC Horror Presents. So I have not seen this logo before. They may have used it and I just missed it. But DC Horror, I really like that idea. DC launching a line of, horror books. They had DC and Vertigo and then DC Black Label and this new DC Horror label. I really like that idea. Horror comics used to be super, super big before the Code came, and the Code kind of messed that up, and in turn all we have is superheroes, but I really like the idea of getting back into doing horror comics. And hey, Conjuring tie-in comic, not really a thing I would have thought of whenever I thought of, a movie franchise that would have a tie-in comic. But then when I see this, I'm like, oh, okay, this actually makes a ton of sense, granted just how big the Conjuring universe is. There's plenty of stories to explore. Let's flip ahead to the credit page. Credit where credit is due, I always say. And they have a big double page spread here, which is kind of becoming the style lately. I mean, the Alien books are doing it as well. And I'm hoping that in future issues we get previously on here. More comics definitely need previously ons, but we see the main story here is written by David L. Johnson-McGoldrick and Rex Ogle, with art by Garry Brown. And the secondary story, Tales from the Artifact Museum, the Ferryman, which is a character we saw in Annabelle Creation, was written by Scott Snyder, a big famous artist we all know for that new Batman run that went really big, with art by Denny's Cowan. And then you get credits for, the cover and the fake mail orders. But I do want to say, in regards to it being 2 stories, in regards to the double page splash, if I counted correctly, the main story is 14 pages, and then the second story is 6. 14 and 6, what's that, 20, and then the double page spread, and then the fake ads, you get 2 pages of that, so about the same as a regular comic, but we'll get into the length in a bit. We open up, I'm going to talk a little bit about the plot. I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers, but I do want to say my piece on a few plot points and make sure you guys have a basic idea as to what this comic's about. So setup and not payoff. So we're going to take a look at this. We get an opening, a nice creepy ritual of some kind, and someone is going to be placing a curse there, and on the next page we see them burning up a photo of this comic's main character, but we haven't really met her yet. But after the credits, we do end up meeting her. It's this girl named Jessica, and it's right after Christmas break, and she's getting ready to go back to her freshman year of college, but she's struggling. Her grades aren't the best, and she's saying that college is simply not for her, to which her mother very much disagrees with. So there's tension there, and you see the struggling in the character. We also bump into this boy she likes kind of briefly, who seems to be nice enough, a little bit of a dork, but we don't really get to know him too much, but he's clearly set up to be one of the main characters there. And we also get to know that she had some sort of best friend, and she keeps her friendship bracelet, and she says that she misses her, but we don't ever get to find out what happened to her. Is it just that the best friend's still in the hometown, or is she dead? Well, we don't know. I'm sure we'll find out later, and there'll probably be some backstory to this. And all the while she is being haunted by these, mysterious forces and things coming out of the shadows. And that is something worth saying, is this comic tries to emulate the Conjuring's slow burn horror. For example, we get this page where she's studying in the library, and you see this half of the page gets darker with a little red dot, and then you see the eyes and the hand coming out. Now, the thing with comics is you don't control the pacing quite as easily as film. As film, it lasts however long you say it lasts, but when you get a comic, you could get someone who really lets these pages breathe and build atmosphere and slowly read through it. You'll also get a lot of people that go boom, 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 and just read this page in half a second. And in turn, because there's a lot of atmospheric panels, this whole book really reads quite fast, but the story wants you to read it slowly, so that is kind of a thing, and it really is kind of hard to mimic, a movie scare on page. They're doing pretty good, but like you see this panel where she's in the laundry and a mysterious hand reaches from behind her, but she, instead of noticing that, sees this rat. This is one of those panels that, on a movie, I would, you get the big sound effect and it would play out really well. On comics, without the sound, I still get it and you still understand what's happening, but, without the sound, you really do lose a bit there. But I really do appreciate them trying to mimic the movie's atmosphere, trying to mimic the colors. There's a ton of just pure black in this comic, which I really do appreciate. But that being said, there are a few things that get lost in translation, but if you take the time and read this comic slowly, I think that does pay out. Up next, the shorter segment, the Scott Snyder one, with the ferryman, and you get this guy in a taxi, and he's stopping, he's telling the rideshare guy his story, and you find out that when he was a little kid, he and his friends, he had just moved, I believe, and his friends kind of dare him to take the coin out of this mouth of an old woman at her funeral, and the coin's supposed to be there to pay the ferryman, but of course, because he took it, the ferryman's going to haunt him, and he says it's, kind of, you don't suspect and you don't think about it all the time, but then, people that you love in your life will, start dying, and you don't immediately connect it to the ferryman, but then you're like, oh man, this happens a lot. I have to find that coin and figure out how to end the ritual. A pretty cool story. It's only 6 pages. Now, I talked a bit about a few other things in this book, but a few things that are worth mentioning. One is the main story. The Warrens have not popped up yet. This is a Conjuring tie-in, and I kind of expect them to show up eventually. They may or may not be in the story. I don't know, but they're not in part 1. And also part 2, you don't get that clean tie-in. It's a story about a character that we know from Annabelle Creation will wind up in the artifact room, but you don't get that, and then here's the object, and now we put it on the shelf kind of ending that the Conjuring movies have, but we know from Annabelle 3 that it does eventually wind up being that way. Overall, though, 2 pretty good stories. Like I said, because there's a lot of, big, empty, ominous panels, where you're looking at a dark room, and it's not super dialogue heavy. You can read through this pretty quick, but I would encourage to read it slowly. Overall, pretty cool. There are a few things that get lost from going to a movie to a comic, but they really do try to mimic that atmosphere, and I really do like expanding on the world. We're getting to see this new character, and as of issue 1, we don't really know who she is or what she's up to, and I am curious for the other books. I'm a huge fan of The Conjuring and horror in general, so I'll definitely be covering these as they come out. This is 1 of 5, which will make for a pretty cool story, and presumably we'll get 4 other Artifact Room tales as well, and I'm excited for that. So overall, I enjoyed this pretty well. Not perfect, but really, yeah, pretty good. I liked it. I don't know. And plus, it's a quick read, and there's something to nice, breezy reads, So, anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You're really helping the channel out. I'll put a relevant playlist at the bottom if you want to see more. You can click there and see more. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom.